Okay, so good morning everyone. So let me introduce myself. My name is Basen. I am the first reporter of the Group 8. So before I'm going to delve into my discussion, let me show you or let me introduce you some Aesop fable which is entitled The Milkmaid and Her Pail. So I am going to read this fable and you're just gonna listen. So let's start. A milkmaid had been out to milk the cows and was returning from the field with a shining milk pail balanced nicely on her head. As she walked along, her pretty head was busy with plans for the days to come. This good, rich milk, she mused, will give me plenty of cream to churn. The butter I make I will take to the market, and with the money I get for it I will buy a lot of eggs for hatching. How nice it will be when they are all hatched and the yard is full of young chickens. Then when May day comes, I will sell them, and with the money I'll buy a lovely new dress to wear to the fair. All the young men will look at me. They will come and try to make love to me. But I shall very quickly send them about their business. As she thought of how she would settle that matter, she tossed her head scornfully, and down fell the pail of milk to the ground, and all the milk flowed out, and with it vanished butter and eggs and chicks and new dress, all the milkmaid's pride. So since I already shown you or I already read the fable, so let us proceed to our discussion. Let us delve into our discussion. So my discussion is entitled Count Not Your Chicken Before They Hatch. So this poem was originated from the milkmaid and her pail. So first, before that, I am going to introduce you what is deductive poetry. So the deductive poetry is designed to teach moral lesson, and the proverb, count not your chicken before they hatch. So that was the fable that I was introduced to you earlier. Is a common theme within this tradition. This lesson is clearly reflected in verse adaptations of Aesop, the Milkmaid and Her Pail, where the narrative warns readers against assuming success before it is secured. Through simple storytelling and an explicit moral, the poem instructs readers to remain cautious, patient, and realistic about future plans. So when we say deductive, it was the explicit of the moral with that was in the poem or inside the poem, that it instructs the readers or it remains that the patient or being realistic about the future plans. Uh, so next, let us proceed the overview of the poem or the story in verse form. So I'm going to introduce you the overview of the poem. So the poem is typically tells of a milkmaid walking to the market with a pail of milk on her head. So that's what I have introduced you earlier, that uh, the milkmaid uh, was tossed, the milk was tossed into her head. So as she walks, she imagines selling the milk, buying eggs, raising chickens, selling them for profit, and achieving wealth. Lost in her fantasy, okay, so she tossed her head in pride, causing the pail to fall and the milk to spill, destroying all her imagined gains. So because of this imagination of her, and she tossed her head, so the milk that over her head was spilled into the ground. So it destroyed her imagination or I mean her fantasy. So next is the speaker or the persona, which is to be discussed by our next reporter and one of my member.
So good, everyone. Now, as continuation, now we're going to talk about the speaker or persona of the poem Count Not Your Chicken Before They Hatch. So, the poem is typically a third person omniscient narrator who observes the milkmaid action and thoughts. This detached perspective allows the speaker to guide the reader towards the moral lesson without emotional bias. By remaining outside the story, the narrator reinforces the instructive nature of the poem and emphasizes the consequences of milkmaid premature confidence. So, the speaker of the poem is like a wise or a good storyteller or narrator who's watching milkmaid from outside. They are not part of the story, but they are telling it in a way that teaches us a lesson or give us a moral lesson. Next is imagery. The imagery the image of the milkmaid carefully balancing a pail of milk on her head symbolizes potential and hope, while her imagined vision of eggs and chicken create a vivid contrast between reality and fantasy. The final image of milk spilling onto the ground powerfully represents the sudden collapse of her dreams. These images make the moral lesson concrete and memorable for the reader. So, the imagery used in the poem help us to remember that don't count things before they happen. Next is meter and rhythm. The poem is often used as steady or regular beat, such as iambic tetrameter or pentameter. This smooth rhythm mirrors the milkmaid confident walk and her orderly plans from for the future. When the pail falls, the flows of the poem is often disrupted, symbolizing how easily unchecked optimism can lead to downfall. Next is rhyme and rhyme scheme. Usually simple and predictable, commonly following patterns like AABB or ABAB. This regular rhyme creates a song-like quality that make the poem easy to remember, which is an important feature of deductive poetry. The controlled rhyme scheme contrasts the chaos that result from the milkmaid mistake, reinforcing irony of her situation. Next is the theme. The poem is in danger of making assumptions about the future. It highlights how pride, overconfidence, and unrealistic expectation can lead to disappointment. By focusing on Milkmaid's imagined success rather than her present task, the poem teaches us that one should value caution and humility over unchecked ambition, because when we have ambition, it should reflect of our how hardworking we are or how perseverance we are, and also highlights how pride overconfidence and overconfidence can lead to downfall or your failure. So that's all for my part. Thank you.
So next is symbolism. So the milk represent opportunity while the eggs and chicken symbolize future success that has not yet been earned. That fallen peel symbolizes failure caused by careless optimism, and the milkmaid's proud gesture represent human vanity. Through this symbol, the poem effectively communicates the moral behind the proverbs and fulfills the purpose of deductive poetry. And the deductive poetry by teaching a valuable life lesson and engaging and memorable way. Mao din na ang deductive poetry. Literature use deductive poetry. Number 1, Hesiod. So, kanina si Hesiod, ang purpose jud ani niya to teach practical and moral lesson, and also farming techniques and seasonal agricultural advice, and also ethical teaching about justice, hard work, and moderation. So, let's move Roman. Number 1 is Virgil. So, kanina ang Virgil, ang purpose jud ani niya is to instruct on agriculture while also reflecting on Roman values, and also farming animals and beekeeping. Next is medieval literature. Number 1 is Alain Delel. So, kani si Alain Delel, ang purpose jud ani niya kay moral theological instruction, and also nature is a personified in layman's human moral corruption. So next is deductive poetry, literary works and teaching. Deductive poetry is a poetry written with the primary aim of teaching or instructing, often blending artistic language with philosophy, science, morality, or practical knowledge. Here an overview of major literary works and traditions that use deductive poetry organized by period and theme. So additionally, deductive poetry has been used across culture and historical periods to teach moral values and religious belief and scientific ideas, and also philosophy and practical skills in memorable and artistic way. Mao din na ang deductive poetry.